Hello everyone, I'm Dr. David Perlmutter. Things sure have changed recently, haven't they, as it relates to a global event with coronavirus. And I think it's really important right now that we focus on the idea of making good decisions, not making impulsive decisions that may or may not be the right decisions, but really regaining our ability to allow our brains to look at information and ultimately make good decisions. So what we've been discussing lately is how our decision making is really affected by things around us. We know that the brain has two important areas that are involved in decision making. One area up behind the forehead is called the prefrontal cortex, and that allows us to look at various data sets and come up with ideas and decisions that plan for the future, as opposed to another area of the brain, among other areas, called the amygdala, that is much more involved with snap decisions, impulsive decisions that have to happen right now that don't really look at how the outcome may be affected. We know that making decisions based on the amygdala are generally decisions that may or may not serve us, and oftentimes are involved or at least influenced by fear. Having said that, we know there's a lot going on around us that is tending to increase our levels of fear, our levels of anxiety, and all of that information that we are getting that is fear-provoking is locking us into making decisions, again, from the fear center, from the amygdala, and therefore those decisions and actions are more impulsive and not as well thought through. So we really want to do everything we can to reconnect to the prefrontal cortex so that as we move forward in time and have to make good decisions that will be important to us, we can do so because we've reconnected to the better decision maker in our brains. So that said, let's look at a few ideas that we should consider moving forward. Now, one part of the program I think that is really underrated is the value of sleep. It's not just the quantity of sleep, but the quality of sleep as well. So shoot for at least 7, but preferably 8 hours of good restorative sleep each night. That's a really good way to help lower cortisol, to help distance yourself from the activity of the amygdala, and actually, and so importantly, is also extremely valuable in terms of increasing immune function. Next is nature. Now, these days there may be reasons why people don't want to get outside and get into nature, and I guess that's okay. I would still indicate that there are probably ways of getting out of doors and getting out into nature that are really going to be good for you. If you can't, then bringing a potted plant into your home or even photographs of nature can be helpful. But again, the main thing that we're looking at here is how nature exposure, what the science is telling us, how nature exposure is good for reducing inflammation and also balancing the immune system. We want to try to maintain our connections. Now, these days, that kind of takes on a different meaning, doesn't it? But it might mean simply picking up the phone and calling people, whether you use social media to make that happen or not. Certainly your choice, but stay in touch with people that you know and people that are important to you. Now, as it relates to the foods you eat, consider a low inflammation diet. There are a lot of great diets out there these days. Whether it's paleo, keto, vegan, carnivore, whatever it may be, the main parameter that we're looking at is how does the diet that you choose affect this process of inflammation, keeping in mind that it's inflammation that threatens our ability to connect back to that area called the prefrontal cortex and tends to lock us into a more fearful way of perceiving the world around us. I think it's really important to consider keeping a gratitude journal. Write down each day a few things that you are grateful for. Think about them for a bit. Also, the extreme importance of maintaining your exercise program. recognizing that, going to the gym, sharing equipment with people, certainly sharing a yoga mat that may have been used by somebody a few moments ago might be something to think twice about. But nonetheless, there are certainly opportunities to engage in an exercise program at home or in other ways that are not necessarily going to increase your risk of transmissible disease. And last but certainly not least is the power of meditation. This is a time when meditation becomes all that more meaningful as a way to calm down the fear-based centers in the brain, specifically the amygdala, and allow us to reconnect to the prefrontal cortex to allow us to really engage in better decision making. Now, it's this last area, meditation, that is really, I think, underestimated in terms of its potential for allowing us to calm down the impulsive amygdala and reestablish our reliance upon the more adult in the room prefrontal cortex. So I would really strongly recommend that you consider engaging in a meditation program. It could be as little as 12 minutes a day. And how difficult is it? Well, it really isn't. Put yourself in a place where you won't be disturbed, turn off your phone, etc. And, there are a lot of techniques out there for meditation. The trick is to try to be as much in the present as possible. That's when the benefits are taking place. One simple technique that you might want to try is simply paying attention to your breathing. With your eyes closed, pay attention to your inhalation and pay attention to your exhalation. Now, immediately, what's going to happen is you're going to be thinking about, I need to watch the news, I'm supposed to do something, what about tonight, what did I do this morning, when is so-and-so going to call? And that is typical and totally normal. You are going to have nothing but intrusive thoughts. That will get better with time, but it is the act of trying to coax your attention back to your breath where you derive the benefit. There are other techniques, prayer, mantra-based techniques. There are a lot of different meditation techniques. In fact, there are even some really wonderful apps that are available that can guide you through a meditation program. Whatever you choose, it's going to be helpful for you. It will help you reconnect to the prefrontal cortex so that moving forward, as we are faced with various challenges, which are inevitable even in the best of times, you're going to be able to bring online that part of your brain that can really guide you in making good decisions. I hope this information is helpful for you. I'm Dr. David Perlmutter. Bye for now.